Data governance is the top of the pyramid, and if we do look at data governance as a pyramid, at the top, where we finally achieve organizational structure, competency, and true standards, we have to start by building a master data management process, application, implementation, managed reference tables. The bottom line is we have to be able to get a handle and provide within the enterprise, if you will, a Rosetta Stone. Master data management is really the process where we apply standards to the organization. And the foundational pieces of master data management are a dynamic metadata repository. Dynamic meaning that you're capturing and keeping historical statistics and measurements, and the implementation of data quality. Data governance at the top is truly the data governance organization, the data governance council. That's a management structure, usually difficult to have in place, and if you put them in place too early, somewhat counterintuitive. It will create more problems because the expectation is they will have to have deliverables. That relies on data stewards, and the data steward's ability to orchestrate and collect and manage information, collecting metadata, managing master data, implementing systems. Very much a process that's reliant on people and very vulnerable to politics, not precise. Master data management is a process where you begin to actually implement the precision capabilities that you need and the precision processes you need to be able to get your data organized, get customer names that have been deduplicated, get product information that's the same across lines, get hierarchies defined where a manager can go from one level in a hierarchy down to a lower level and finally down to the actual piece of information that they can act upon. A dynamic metadata repository is critical in that the ability to store and keep your profiling data and access it from an analytical perspective, if you will, a metadata mart is a dimensional data mart that lets you look at information via not just the statistics, but like you would any other analytical report by dimensions. Can I look at information for particular tables across applications and across departments? And then lastly, data quality tools and techniques. The goal in the beginning is to get an alignment and an understanding of the data quality tools and techniques that you're using. That is the engine of your data governance organization. And I can't stress the importance of it is not a particular tool. It is not a particular set of processes you're going to define. You can't solve it architecturally or from an IT perspective. You have to make decisions and understand where the things that are happening in your data quality engine and your data quality capabilities impact. That's done by looking at them in a metadata mart and then mapping them in an MDM environment that gives you the ability to understand here is what my achieve or my stated goal is for common products or common SKUs or common customer information. And by the way, here is exactly what it looks like in each independent system. What do I have to do? What are the problems? So it's really an evolving process of capabilities to allow you to manage the process, not simply the panacea that you think you're going to be able to buy your way or even organize your way out of it. It's going to have to start with some agreement at the ground up, and by management through a dynamic metadata mart that will take the politics out of it. It will allow you to get a level of precision and measurement that you can understand what progress you're really making. The communication process, again, I emphasize, is key in the completion and creation of a metadata mart, which I will state here does not necessarily require the purchase of a vendor tool. That the ability for you to connect people, processes, and technology is in your business already, and you do it every day with many capabilities, building any ETL data warehouse or any integration. Many of the capabilities you need are there. They simply need to be applied to the management of metadata and data profiling data. So that therefore, at some point in the process, you begin to understand that while, yes, we want to communicate between people, process, and technology, we really have an engineering effort here. We have an engineering effort where in the middle of the pyramid, when we flip between the people and the processes below to build an MDM app, and if not build or buy an MDM app, build a capability where we build tables that have got lineage. It's a little technical, but the bottom line is we need to have an ability to understand what our mappings are, what our nexus is, what is the connection between a product, high-level product category that we want to create a financial report for, or a marketing report, and a source of data from a lower level where we've been able to go through and capture transformations or changes required. That is not an impossible task, and by defining such basic things as a metadata mart and data lineage, we can define and build processes that will accomplish that in an ongoing. With a slide breaking PowerPoint rule number 1, which is a text-based slide. But it's important to note here that Gartner Analysis on Best Practices approach to metadata is Michael Belcher. For the last several years, there have been several papers and capabilities put out on the approach to data governance that involves the use of what Michael describes as a metadata mart. If we read the slide, Michael Belcher states from Gartner, best practices include scoping metadata management into smaller areas where governance can be more easily applied and at a more abstracted level of detail in repositories, which I call metadata marts. In his blog post, Down with Uber Repositories, Long Live Metadata. In addition, there's some other work of note out here in terms of understanding data profiling and its capabilities. What's important to note here, and to further break down what Michael's saying, is that in many companies, if you take an approach of applying some techniques and building a metadata mart, in essence collecting data profiling data rather than just running data profiling reports, you will, by its very nature, implement a process where you begin to capture recurring profiling information and data quality information, which by their very presence facilitates the need and the creation of processes to support managing. So where do we start? We start by building a data quality dashboard. And to support that, we're going to build a metadata mart. I'm going to take you through a few samples of what the data quality dashboard can help you accomplish, and then through a little bit of background on building the metadata mart. References is that we can help you with an understanding how to get the accelerators in terms of basic coding techniques without vendor purchase to at least create initial dashboards. An initial dashboard here, if you will, if you look at the left underneath where it says build zip in the middle of the page under data profiling dashboard, you can see that this dashboard represents a one-row look at a column within a table, which is your initial assessment, your one-line assessment of what's going on in this table. So let's take a look. Over there it says that we have a unique domain ratio of 49. So we have 49 unique zip codes. Our most popular domain within that zip code, domain means that most popular value is 1876. That immediately tells us we have a problem. If we look at the most popular pattern, we've got a 6-digit pattern. That also tells us there's a problem. The most popular domain count is telling us that there's a pattern. The most popular domain ratio giving us the same information, a very limited data set here. The max domain on the right is a proper zip code, 98755. As we look here and we continue, we can also see, as with our zip code here in the middle of the page, if we scan to the right, we can see a pattern. The most popular pattern is a 4 digits 9. 9s represents here in the pattern numbers, X's represent alphas. To finish off our analysis, we can see that, again, looking at zip code, that most popular pattern is 4 digits, which are 9, and that is a problem. that we know. And then we could look at other examples here, but my main point is to understand that with some simple efforts at building a metadata mart, we can quickly be in a position to have a very fact-based discussion about source analysis, project impact, and do project estimating. Secondly, there's a type of analysis and a scorecard that can be created if we do some of our own profiling called domain analysis. And what that gives us here is two things. It lets us look at the specific values in a column, that's the column domain, and it lets us look at the patterns. What's important is, if you look on the left in a very small example here, we see that we can pick the column zip code, look at the pattern. We've got one space, we've got 6 records that have 4 nines. We can drill into that pattern and we can see the values. This is critical because this provides us the roadmap to actually resolve the problems, to either provide an ETL developer a source to table mapping, an MDM developer the mapping required to standardize the value, or to generate code to resolve the value. This is a more complex example, but if you look at phone, you can see that with multiple patterns quickly identified within phone, we have a very clear understanding of what we have to face in terms of cleansing this column. That becomes critical not only from a data governance perspective, from an MDM perspective, and from a basic everyday integration perspective. Again, we want to look at some capabilities to provide these kinds of capabilities very quickly. We'll finish up with the discussion again of being able to look at and understand how to build a basic data quality scorecard. There's several references on the web that can provide you the capabilities and the coding capabilities that have been implemented at many clients that will give you the ability to quickly build at least a basic metadata repository and scorecard and some measurement processes that you can use in defining the success of that, including TCO templates. So again, this is Ira Whiteside. Thank you very much, and I apologize. I think my Pomeranian prince, who is the ruler of the universe, has just woke up. Thank you. I am Ira Warren Whiteside, and you can reach me at irawarrenwhiteside.com. If you take a look over at my blog, irawarrenwhiteside.com, specifically at the blog post for creating a metadata mart via TSQL, complete data profiling kit, the SQL required, and a sample spreadsheet are included to rebuild the data quality dashboard you've seen in this presentation. Thank you very much.